guys, so it's been a long time since I vlogged and I have some good news for you. So just this last Saturday, I took my boarding exam for the NAACP, which is the state nursing exam that I can be qualified to be a CNA if I pass the exam. So good news, I got it. So in order to be qualified as an NNAP, you have to pass like both testing, both parts of the NNAAP examination. For that to happen, you have to pass your written and your skills. So for the skills, all you have to do was basically portray like you knew what to do, like being hands-on, you know? Like we had VN students or LVN students who came in and they offered to help with us since they were the patients and we were being tested and all that stuff. And at the same time, we were watched by the LVN instructors just to make sure that what we're doing is correct. So when I came in that morning, I won't lie, but I was a big hot mess. Like, I was nervous, I didn't have enough sleep the previous night, and I didn't have enough study time. So the only thing I got to get away with was a small review with my friend Rosie on Uvu, and we watched some YouTube videos about some of the skills that we had to review, especially range of motion. That was something that we need to work on. CNAs didn't really do that stuff, or nursing assistants don't really do that stuff as much. There's a PT or physical therapist who does that for you anyways, but it was good to know it just in case. So yeah, so on ROP, well, that's the class I took for this last year or so. It really comes down to how devoted you are to the career you want to go for. Like, you know, basically I set myself up that this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, you know? And it's kind of stressful. And to know that that this will be something that I'll do for the rest of my life, I guess, to be honest, I'm kind of happy about it, because not only is it like stable and I get to help patients and bring them back to their original ways, you know, bring them back to being independent, and seeing people smile, like, it makes the job really worthwhile. But I don't know, like, it could be a little bit time consuming, and maybe I can find a way to find more time for myself and like stories, because I really love to write stories every once in a while now with friends. But just knowing, like, right now, you kind of realize that you have to sacrifice a lot. Like, I kind of had to grow distant with my friends because I have a time schedule that is like insanely impossible to make room for people, especially hanging out. So I kind of find myself growing distant from them. But maybe, hopefully towards the end, it will be worth it, because I'll be done before I guess anyone else. And I believe I did the right thing, like, you know, getting started right away in ROP, because being in high school, you have most of the priorities. They choose the seniors more than juniors and all that other stuff. Even the adults, the seniors always have priority. So yeah, being in fundamentals, being in a class with adults, I kind of have the impression that I'm getting the dirty looks, because we get our textbooks for free while the adults had to buy theirs and show up to school to class with them. Us, we just had to rent it and just give it back by the end of the year. So anyways, going back to the topic on my CNA exam, the first thing I did that morning was go for skills. The teacher was asking if anyone wanted to volunteer to get it over with for skills. But yeah, I was kind of iffy about it. I was nervous, but then my friend Lindsay said, why don't we just do it? So I looked at her, she looked at me, and we're just like, okay, fine, let's get it over with. And honestly, that was the best choice I've ever done. You know, like, it's nerve-wracking to know that after your written exam, you still have to do your skills, and everyone's nervous, and it's really time-consuming. So I thought might as well get it done with skills. So skills first, I got it over with. The number one that will always, always, always show up on the exam is washing your hands. Well, you think that's simple, right? Like, maybe from a normal person's perspective, but in a nursing facility, you have to spend like at least like 30 seconds to wash your hands. You gotta scrub your hands, get the friction out, get all the germs out of the way, even through your nails too. You have to get the soap in there and like just wash it off and stuff. And they had a specific way of closing the sink. Like, you really have to use a napkin. You can't crunch it, or else you have to start over again and wash your hands again. I actually did that way the first time around. Even though I was aware that I shouldn't have done that, but it was a habit, so I had to wash my hands again. Luckily, my instructor was kind enough to let me do it again. So yeah, they were actually pretty nice about that stuff. So moving on to the next one, we go to this room, and we're divided by 3 people are called in. There's 3 instructors in there waiting. One was at the left side, there's one at the front, and there's one in the back of the room, and then on the other side there was one at the center. With them were the LVN students who stayed in the bed. I think they're the ones who lacked some time, or they just wanted to come in and help. And they would just stay in the bed, like, you know, act like patients, and then we had to perform our skills to them. And the number one thing you should keep in mind when you do that is confidence, because confidence is key. And if you show that you know what you're doing, at least they will believe that you know what you're doing, you know. Like, even my instructor who's testing me, she knew I knew my stuff, but one of them came out of order, so yeah. Well, first of all, the skills I did was weights right after washing my hands. And the next one after that was feet care, like, you know, washing the patient's feet and stuff. And then the next one after that was range of motion, which is like just moving your arms, you know, like stretching them, so in order for them not to fall into contracture. So contracture is when your muscles become stiff, like you have a hard time moving them and stuff. So range of motion's purpose is to keep their muscles moving even though they've been in bed for like a long time. So yeah, flexion is this way, then extension, then abduction, then adduction. And that's all we had to do. And then also work on the fingers and the thumb too. Even though I didn't really know most of the terms for it, I got away with it a little bit because I did try my best, and I was kind of sweating myself off there. But they accepted it. So yeah, I passed that one. And after range of motion, I think, oh yeah, and the last one, because it was 5 skills, the 5th one was positioning, where you get your patient to lie in lateral sims, meaning laying on their side, you know. Usually lateral sims means laying on their left, so yeah. I did the wrong move. I pulled the patient towards me, leaned towards me, but that wasn't the smartest move, you know, because like I got used to the fact that I worked with a friend when we transferred people, because they needed my help once in a while, but usually I'm independent when I was working, so don't get me wrong there. So I made the patient roll towards me, which is not the right move. You're supposed to ask your patient to cross their arms or lean over to grab the rail on the opposite of you, so they can lay down there, and you can set the pillow behind their back, you know, one pillow on their back, one between their arms, and one between their legs, so they'll be more comfortable that way. We didn't get to practice that for clinical as much as I hoped we would. And same with range of motion, because again, there was a physical therapist who did that for them. And positioning was usually done by my charge nurse, so she would do that for me because I didn't really know what I would do. They would do that. Other than that news of my passing, and now that I'm registered as a CNA, that means I can actually start working as a CNA if I wish to. But my goal right now is to become an LVN. That's not too far of a goal since I'm in fundamentals right now, and the next step of fundamentals is a VN program. But once I pass my VN class, I can be qualified for the LVN, which is the same thing as NAACP. I think it's the same test. But yeah, if I pass that, then I'll be licensed by then. Hopefully I'll have an advantage if I go for the RN program, or I'll follow what Lindsay told me today about the bridge program, where I can transfer or show my transcripts to the admins that I am able to skip a semester, because it contains CNA, MedCore, and fundamentals combined in one semester, so I can skip that and go for the next one. So hopefully that can happen. The downside though is that this June, because I graduated on June 11 from my high school, June 18 is when I come back and start my vocational nursing class. And I have to wake up really early in the morning, and hopefully by then I do have my license and I'll be able to drive there, because my parents can't drive me at like 6 in the morning and drop me off there while they need to go back to start their own job and stuff.